Why gaming still isn't respected? Why? Why is not respected? By Derez Parallax. Crazy name. Should have more subs. Crazy. I might be his new sub after this video. Who knows? So, without further ado, let's get busy.
Nowadays, the video game industry is bigger than Hollywood, it's bigger than the music industry, and it still gets no respect.
My first issue with video games is that I believe that as a rule, it is a massive waste of your time.
I think video games are for children.
I don't know if that game expands your understanding or your ability to contribute to the larger conversation.
Go outside,
Okay. What's he said?
get some fresh air.
Okay. We use that against people who are just no-lifers. I'm talking about people from Call of Duty. I'm talking about people from Street Fighter. Tekken. Bro, the amount of people who are so good at the game, it makes you think, hey, are you guys prodigies or you guys never leave your damn house? Take a break. I'm seeing these people have rocking thousand wins over what? A quarter of like a week. Like, bro, really, go outside. I ain't gonna lie. But for the people who want to have fun, relax, just ignore the BS from the outside world. I just want to have fun. I have games on my Steam. I got games on my PS4 and my PS3. Games I hadn't even played yet because I was busy with life. I know. I have a stupid backlog. Trust me. I think I'm gonna talk about that in a future video, bro. Maybe some real talk. I ain't gonna lie. I gotta talk about it on my real talk. Y'all gotta see that. Alright? So Derez Parallax didn't even speak yet. And already getting pissed off, bro. I'm like, yo, these people. And the other guy who's talking about like, yo, are you gonna offer anything to society? Some of these guys who's playing games are freaking lawyers, doctors, therapists, contractors. Bro, if you ask somebody in the gaming state in Discord, some of them like working at retail, someone probably a security guard, police officer, you don't know, bro. One of the best streamers on Twitch, it's his full-time job. Type in that. Anybody from AMP, they are loaded. They worked hard for the stuff they got. They got brand deals left and right. They got connections for other YouTubers. They make money from the generation of kids just want to see some stupid stuff online, bro. Making more than an average 9-to-5er.
Beating Tetris is not a life goal.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought I would find a lot more instances of people giving video games the middle finger, but what you just saw is just about all I could find, and initially, I thought this meant that making this video would just be an overreaction and that people today truly didn't feel this way about video games. And it turns out most people don't, but just because the majority of people don't have extreme opinions on video games doesn't mean they aren't disrespecting them and making gamers feel like outsiders.
Okay, they do. It's always been like that way before in the 90s, bro. I wasn't even born back then. But I already seen the stigma of like how people view video games, bro. It like by the time like we somewhere between 2008, 2009, people accepting video games left and right. They come to accept video games. Like when the PS3 pulled up and people playing on the PSP, bro. Yeah, you see a lot of people rocking the PSP to the school. Playing some Mario, not Mario, some freaking Crash Bandicoot, bro. Some Star Wars Unleashed, bro. Whatever fighting game like Tekken 5, Dark Resurrection, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh, the Tekken 6. Woo! Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, damn. Those were the days when video games was slowly getting accepted into the mix. It's still not getting respected though. And even to the point where it almost got freaking, not almost, bro. No, it just got like lost at the lawsuit because of freaking this one dude, I forgot his name, was going like a one-man crusade against video games because it's violent, excessive. I'm like, bro, look at your movies. There's violence, there's sex in freaking movies, bro. And you surprised you see that on media like video games. Hey, hello, demographics, audience. Are they young? Are they old? Why we have the M rated? Rated M for mature. Rated T for teen. Rated E for everyone. And I think because of Mortal Kombat, that became reality. It needs to be like, where's the line right there? Where's the line? And Mortal Kombat kicked it off. It wasn't even Doom. It wasn't even Wolfenstein, even though it should have had, or any other risque games out there. Not even freaking DSX Human Revolution. Probably have some Rosky stuff in there too. I've seen some clips here and there, but it's like the freaking messages and the stuff that was speak in that game, bro. It's like kind of crazy. You shouldn't even show it to a kid. Playing the first DSX, no one should like give it to a kid. Hell no. But Mortal Kombat the one, bro. I'm like, after that was like the snowball effect of like, yo, what should be accepted here, what not should be accepted there. And nowadays people are going crazy over an Emma Stone skin for her showing us too much skin.
In fact, I think the current popularity and success of video games has almost made gamers feel like we're not allowed to feel like social outcasts. And while I'm very grateful for all the great games we have, I can't just ignore that something's still off. Gaming is not a normalized hobby. Let me show you what I mean. I want you to imagine you bust up into a stranger's house because you want to make some new friends. But upon entering their house, you don't immediately notice anything that gives off those gamer vibes we all know and love. With that in mind, would the first question you ask them be, what video games do you play? No, because they'd most likely just say, I don't play video games. Then the conversation would become awkward, which would make your social anxiety kick in, prompting you to run away in order to compose yourself before coming back to apologize and ask what their favorite movie or song is, because everybody watches movies and listens to music. They probably aren't watching the Game Awards though, because it's targeted towards gamers. And
you know, I this was like last year, right? Yeah, it was last year, right? January 20th. At the tail end of 2024, I see Snoop Dogg popping off. This man don't even care about, okay, right there, he doesn't even care about the games, but the clout of it, the many people know about it, yo, when there's money on the line, Snoop Dogg is pulling up. He pulled up to do a song. Not everybody was vibing it. Some were old heads, some were like young folks. Me, I'm in betweener. Like, yo, I've been around with hearing some Snoop Dogg songs here and there, and I'm kind of bored of this stuff. And it's like, it's like majority of the audience was just like a bunch of middle-aged white people. I ain't gonna lie, I saw it. Saw all with my own two eyes. You barely see anybody of my complexion or anybody of like Asian descent. If you do, it was like very probably on the right side or left side, either or. But I think over time it brought more celebrity to the mix of it, more often than not, and just that host knows how to bring some big names, man. Yo, I kind of like seeing Kojima just being cringed by the sight of freaking puppets roasting him about his relationship with the host, man. It's funny stuff.
Yet, despite that fact, it almost feels like the Game Awards doesn't want to be associated with the stigma around video games.
It feels like the people who make the video games don't matter enough, or are not cool enough, or are not Hollywood enough to present the awards.
I, along with Alana, don't think the Game Awards are all bad, but as she alluded to, some priorities definitely need to shift if we are to believe this is truly a show meant to celebrate video games and their devs.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna wrap it up apparently.
And not just one giant ad where traditional celebrities can just goof off.
Pew, pew, pew.
I mean, why do these traditional celebrities get to be in gaming ads when, to my knowledge, gaming influencers don't advertise anything outside of gaming? Why can't a good game speak for itself like some movies often do, since those movies are why the actors are famous in the first place? Probably for the same reason the very platform that hosts...
Do you want to see Asmongold just for like freaking promote a game? I guarantee you, if he wanted to, he'd clean himself up. The kind of person he is, he ain't gonna do that. Moist Critical is probably one of the few influencers like somewhat brand friendly that you can put on anything on anywhere, just freaking do a game thing, do some commercials. But personally, I don't think he will do that because it's not his style. He like, chilling, not doing nothing sporadic. As long if he feel like doing it, and he get enough money as it is, so I don't see him like doing more than he should. I can see Speed doing that, even though he do some crazy stuff. A lot of people accepted him. Whole, like, no matter what. A lot of people like bring him to any other place. If Speed get contacted by any of these like developers, like, can you like stream our games and blah blah blah. But then again, shoot, it was that stupid PS5 fiasco. Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
These gaming influencers treats them differently than regular influencers. In fact, MatPat, creator of the Theorist channels, actually interviewed former YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki about this very issue at the 2019 Gaming Creators Summit.
There's all sorts of stuff out there that feels like gaming is kind of a second thought. We're relegated to our own platform with YouTube Gaming, our own app, our own social media handle, our own trending tab. It feels like we're being segregated off from the rest of YouTube, even though we're delivering a huge value to this platform.
Not only does a fat chunk of YouTube's views come from gamers, but so does the largest chunk of revenue in the entertainment industry.
Rip to her. If you guys didn't know, that the former CEO of YouTube passed away, bro. Look, whatever the beef with her, bro, is like she did what she did. She tried to be more, you know what I'm saying, like, I guess fair.
So what's the deal? Why does gaming seem to have the same social stigma attached to it that it's had ever since its early days, and more importantly, can we even do anything about it? Well, just like trying to convince yourself you should cook dinner at home instead of going to Taco Bell, it's complicated. What you need to understand first, though, is that it all started with a little thing called generational myopia. In his article about why the mainstream media struggles to cover video games, Ben Lindbergh states, largely because of what former Times writer Seth Shachelle calls generational myopia, the keepers of the cultural sections aren't convinced that gaming merits a spot on the masthead alongside longer-lived entertainment cornerstones.
That is insane. Because even before The Last of Us, we were still getting story-type games that were literally just getting off the ground, bro. Like, you see some Lord of the Rings inspired, like, movie stuff inspired. Like, it's pretty cool, you know? When it comes to cinematics, like, Naughty Dog in that bag. And Telltale in that bag as well. Even before that. Like, God of War was pretty cinematic, too. Like, in freaking 2005? Bro. That is a good video game, bro. But it's pretty raunchy, man. And Star Wars, man, it's easy. Easy dump. Alley-oop. Star Wars Unleashed, like I said. Good stuff. Not respected because, like, anyone can just get on and do it. And we gotta ignore the fact that esports exists. There was a time when E3 was a thing. Every developer, influencer, back in the day, pulling up like Angry Joe and them, doing their thing, getting some scoops here and there. Esports and anything esports related, like whether it be racing, fighting games, shooting games. Nowadays, like more of a rivals.
Later in the article, Brian Crescente mentions that a lot of these publications are run by people who probably didn't grow up playing video games. This, of course, implies that they don't seem to understand.
It's the suits. It's the boys in suits. Like I said, it's always the boys in suits. It's always the people who are the non-gamers, who probably see their friend playing games, don't have that interest in it, they probably played it one time and never play it again. There are people who exist who don't play games. And that's fine. But what if you had like the big boss in the world, the big suits, the biggest bank account in the world, who just don't respect games, period. And they don't play games, period. And they own these events like some of these like Game Awards stuff. Like they ain't gonna like peep at no freaking streamer, bro. And that's probably bad too, because their audience are mainly online, and they go peep some streamers online, see what they're doing, and sometimes they be playing their games, and I think to myself like, okay, so who are these marketers in the company not seeing the freaking gold mine of potential. Just calling up these streamers like, hey, you want to work with us? You set up a contract and you work with us, you get this percentage, you bring these people on, blah, blah. That's it. I'm not using their noggins, bro.
In them. I think actor and comedian Bryan Callen puts it best.
For older people, it's subversive. We don't trust it, we don't like it, we don't understand it, and it scares us a little bit because it also reminds us of our own mortality.
We're also brainwashed to thinking the video games are for losers.
All of that.
What's interesting about...
Okay, the brainwashing part, yeah, that definitely... which is stupid too, because people, even to this day, I don't know how many old people just think that. Because there are a lot of grandparents who have no problem buying a whole Game Boy for their kid back in the day. Had no problem buying a Nintendo Switch back in the day. And you know what the unfortunate part too? Sometimes, okay, I'll talk about it later on down the road in the video. It's crazy that certain people will just buy anything for their grandkids. How to keep your grandkids come to your house more? Have a game there. Have a PS5. Have a freaking Nintendo Switch. Have a Xbox One X. Have a PC. Yo, PC. Play all the games imaginable, bro. Sometimes the exclusive will come to the PC. So why not PC? You know what I'm saying? Hey, grandparents, if you ever watch my video, if you see this right now, I'm telling you, research PCs, gaming PCs, right? Just get it. Good monitor. Good, like, gigabytes, like the device itself. Good chair. Set it up in your living room or bedroom for the guests, for the grandkid. They pull up and like, oh shoot, play all the games you want. Hi, we chilling, right?
Brian here, not to be confused with Brian Crescente, is that he actually did come from the first generation to grow up with video games. So the only logical conclusion is that Brian probably didn't get to play video games as a kid because his parents likely had a negative perspective on them, which then influenced Callen, just like the media does with the rest of the US. The only problem is, this line of thinking is flawed. By that logic, all millennials, Gen Z, and even Gen Alpha...
I agree with you. There is parallax. I agree with you 100%. You just holding a generation back because it's your bad bias. People have a choice to be outside and play games or be inside and play games. Now, if you want to take a valid reason, like say, I don't want my kid to play games because he eating up all my electricity. I don't want it. No more games. My electricity bill going up. You little bastard. How dare you? Okay. Set a time for your kid to play a game. You be on there for an hour and get him off of it. Y'all respect the rules, you know what I'm saying?
Would think this way about video games too. This mindset would just get passed down to each subsequent generation. In case it wasn't clear, I obviously have no idea what Brian's dad thinks of video games, but my dad is from Gen X just like Callen, yet he doesn't think the same way about video games as Callen does. You also have millennials like Mandy B, who you saw in a clip earlier in the video. And when discussing who she would or wouldn't date on her podcast, she said,
I would rather you have a hobby that's not video games. Something that grows you, enlightens.
And yet, video games is a hobby. Listen. I'm going to tell you a bigger secret that you don't know about me, bro. The biggest secret right here. When it comes to me, my reading, yo, in school, I was bad at it, bro. Oh my gosh. Like, I wasn't that keen on reading. Somehow, from the 3rd grade-ish, but I gotten better at reading, period. It's just by playing games. Like games of God of War. I'll admit, I played some God of War when I was a kid. Good times. You know, video games can teach you a lot, bro. You gotta learn and apply to life. That's what matters. What you learn from playing games, what you learn, you have to apply it in your life. And she's just wrong.
And I'd be willing to bet some Gen Zers also think this way too. So while this mindset started with the older generation thanks to the infamous video game crash of 1983, we actually have video game publishers to thank for providing the perfect place for this social stigma around video games to take center stage. You see, one of the biggest reasons the crash happened in the first place was because of the oversaturation of the market and thus a loss of consumer confidence in garbage like this. Because of this, video games were seen as a fad and lost any momentum they might have had to make it as a normalized hobby among the likes of TV and music. And Nintendo put the nail in the coffin when they pulled the Trojan horse maneuver to get their console onto store shelves in America as a toy for children. Sure, adults were playing video games alongside children during this time, just like they were in the arcade days of Space Invaders, but when the novelty of
But nowadays they're just freaking greedy, bro. Ooh my gosh. Damn, dude. They gave up. Probably the past several years. Nintendo gave up. And instead of like giving quality stuff, they're giving people cardboard to play with. It charges you like what, $50, $100 for it, bro? Are you serious? Are you serious, Nintendo? What is wrong with you? And the goal you have, I doubt it about tariffs, bro. If the tariffs like, oh, look, here what it is, bro. The price of the games be $80, bro. You know me. I'll buy a game with the price comes in with the sales. Cut it off. Or you put it on sale, bro. I'm always pulling up games when the sales go on, man.
Video games began to wear off once again. The main audience left playing video games were the ones it was continually being marketed toward, thus cementing video games as a child's plaything, a waste of time. And this cycle almost seemed doomed to...
As a mother, I wonder if Candace Owens even give her kids some games, bro. They probably tell them to read a book. All the most boring things ever. At least understand what the hell your kid likes. If your kid like a certain a genre like sports, he like fantasy, some sci-fi, or some how-tos, at least think about what kind of book your kid will read, so he will read it. Don't give him just any book. He's not gonna like it. Like me.
Repeat itself from the start. It seems like everyone, including major news outlets, want a piece of the action when a hit new console or game arrives, but as soon as the novelty wears off, everyone except the gaming community stops talking about it. But if video games being treated as just a toy was the only issue here, they would have already bounced back from this negative social status just like EVs did shortly after they first became affordable. That's right, even owning a TV had a stigma attached to it, and for perspective, it took less than 20 years for it to be dropped, whereas the video game crash happened 40 years ago, and it still hasn't been dropped. So yeah, there's something else going on here, because in addition to this, if you haven't noticed, there's this little thing called the internet that you're using right now, where billions of people interact with each other on a day-to-day basis. If people really wanted to, they could find a way to inform themselves about gaming news, but they don't. Sure, we're creatures.
It's in my face every day. Every time I go to another tab, there's links to news sites about what's the next game coming out, or what game adaptation happened on Netflix. Like Devil May Cry. I haven't seen it yet. I'm supposed to freaking do the freaking review on it and have it came to be. Sorry. Still trying to get around that. But overall, people have no excuse. Besides the fact either they're interested in it or they're not. Because when you're growing up, priority gotta take place. Bills, family, friends, whatever interest you have is going to be down here. For some more than others.
Creatures of habit, so we tend to get comfortable doing or watching a lot of the same things, but there are also a lot of people who really like change. I would know because my wife is one of those people. She's dabbled in games here and there, and while she's not an avid gamer who's obsessed with it like I am, she still has a lot of fun playing games and even recognizes them as a form of art. Yet I hardly ever tell her the latest gaming news because I know she's not super interested in it for the most part. Except that one time she got mad at me for not updating her on the latest Nintendo Direct because they announced Switch Sports. I mean, how the hell was I supposed to know she was interested in... In case it wasn't clear, my wife is the most supporting person in the world and is 100% on board with my passion for video games, and she'll even tolerate my fangirling while watching a Nintendo Direct with me from...
Throw your wife, man. It's great to just have a partner, a lover who's just interested in most of the things you are. Not 100%, but it's like, if it's like a majority, like more than 50%, you locked in, you know what I'm saying? That's the one for you.
From time to time. But my point is, her interests for the most part lie elsewhere. Just like many others, she's at a point in her life where she knows what she likes and what she doesn't. She couldn't care less about playing Super Smash Bros, for example. Probably because she sucks at it, but that's similar to how my dumbass sucks at sports, which is why I don't really like playing them. But this is because it's natural to not want to do things you're no good at because it's not fun. Video games are very hard to get good at, and they carry a very big intimidation factor. Not only do you have way too many sweats frothing at the mouth to rise to the top of the leaderboards on Overwatch, but you also have incredibly complex games that some people just get overwhelmed at the idea of and never give it a shot. Not to
There was this game. I never seen a video game that I just don't like that. To the point where damn it. It's family again. Shoot. What am I? Train of thought. I never seen a game where I look at it, I think this is very interesting, I don't want to play it. Fear and Hunger. It's an indie game. I'll never play that game in my life. Not even the sequel. To me, it's really just not a bad game. But the whole stress of like trying to like keep everybody alive. Bro, I played XCOM, bro. I can see some fun in that. But in that game, hell no. It wasn't no game where you need a freaking save state. Wherever you be at. Kind of cheating, right? Kind of cheating, like, nah. Like, even a save station is a life or death scenario. If you got the wrong coin, a freaking bird head comes out, it will give you the work. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna give myself that stress to play a game like that. Hell no.
to mention there are those who are simply fearful of the addictive nature of games. There are also way too many games to choose from these days that range from something as simple as jumping on enemies to figuring out the perfect combination of items, weapons, abilities, and even strategies needed to bring down the ultimate Giga Chad of a boss. Even the games that we longtime gamers consider casual may not be as easy for some people to get into as we think. The way we engage with a game is very different from the way we engage with other forms of media. You made your first me look as much like you as possible because you are that me. It becomes an extension of yourself to live through in a digital world. In his book, Games Agency as Art, philosopher C.T. Wynn claims that the motivation behind gameplay is an inversion of how motivation for most other things operate. You don't do your taxes because it's fun, you do your taxes so you don't end up like Scott. On the other hand, you don't play
I have family members who help me do my taxes for them by helping me. I mean, they do majority of the work. Majority. I give them all the information that's necessary, and they do everything else. I provide the information to them, and they work on it for me, and I get my income tax. But it's been like that since like 2021, 2022. But after like recent events, and not that much, you know. So it just, you know, work really hard to find a job out here. Really hard to find a job out here, bro. This really is, but that's not the point I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that certain priority will take place over everything else. So I'll live life to the fullest and know when to play games, bro. Like, if you have nothing else to do and you say, oh, I'm bored, you're never bored. You just not deciding to pick up the freaking controller and play, bro. Like me playing Killer 7. That game is so awesome, bro. Damn, I still played it way back in the day, bro. Game's amazing.
Deltarune or Hollow Knight to check them off a list. You do it for the journey. Okay, maybe we kind of do play them to check them off a list. Compare all of that to something like movies, which are by nature very linear experiences. Many games not only take far more time than movies to play through, but have expanded far beyond linear experiences. Movies only require you to stare at a screen and literally nothing else. You can even just have it on in the background. Video games often require many components such as your reflexes, hand-eye coordination, strategy, skill, experience, patience, and in most cases, your undivided attention. And I haven't even touched on the fact that music, a whole other industry, is merely an ingredient, albeit an absolutely essential one, in both movies and video games.
You hear stuff like, what do games provide? You hear this, the stuff he said about, like, coordination, coordination, patience, skills, memory, all that stuff, reading. Come on, that's like I said, you can apply this little stuff. These soft skills, really. They're soft skills to, like, your everyday life. It could be very, very good. You just gotta understand how to apply it wherever you go.
I can just listen to my favorite song on the way to work, whereas sometimes I have to contemplate whether it's worth it to boot up my save file on Tears of the Kingdom, or whether I should just wait until I have a larger chunk of time to play. Playing a video game for someone not familiar with them can quite...
To this day, I played Bloodborne since, let's say, when I started playing Bloodborne, I think it was like 2022 or 23. I haven't finished it. I'm still like the first stage of it. Like, let's say I'm like 95% there. I'm not I'm not finished with the damn game, bro. I had it for a long time. I haven't played it. I haven't gotten around to it. And it's like I played Demon's Souls. I played Dark Souls 2. Those games eat up all my time, And nowadays I just be very hesitant to play the kind. No, I'm gonna be diving into that world for a long, long time, for like maybe 5 hours, man. I know how addicted it can be. So 2 hours, 3 hours not enough. Otherwise, probably can't be just like Yakuza when I'm playing Yakuza for like 3 hours. I'm like, how much time I have left? I'm like, yeah, I'm playing like a couple of hours, and I keep on playing for like till like what 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, that's how I know I gotta stop, bro. But it's worse for freaking Demon's Souls, bro. Like, I play that game for like all day, every day. That's it, bro. When I played Doom Eternal for the first time, man, I was playing that game so much to the point where I wanted to finish, like, beat the boss, the final boss. I was playing that game for like since like 3 o'clock in the afternoon to like 7 a.m. That game was freaking epic. And I was like playing so much of it because that one boss, that bullshit, that BS angel boss, and her stupid lava floor.
Might literally be a lot of work because, as Professor Wen puts it, those who play games play them for the struggle. The reason I couldn't find many videos of people bashing video games for the opening of this video is partially because people who say things like that on the internet will be harassed and no one wants that, but also because a lot of people actually don't feel that way. They simply don't play video games for a multitude of reasons, and that's okay. I'm willing to bet that the reason gamers seem to be segregated off from the rest of YouTube is because gaming is so different and not as widely appealing to a general audience. The reason game companies can't let games speak for themselves is because, unlike movies, you have to play a game to know whether it's good or not. That and traditional celebrities bring a wider audience. So while I initially considered the possibility of older generations being the culprit here,
and most of these celebrities don't even play games like that, which is so freaking funny, dude. You probably have someone who like tell you like, yo, this is how you play the game, bro. Press it like this, like boom, boom, you done. And a celebrity would do it. Worse off, you only need to see a freaking gaming journalist do it, bro. Never forget the infamous freaking tutorial with the freaking Cuphead thing. That alone is so bad, bro. Think about it like that. You can't even go over an obstacle, bro. Ain't that funny? It's the funniest thing ever.
I don't think they deserve as much of the blame as we give them. This sentiment spans generations, and it's why simply covering video games in mainstream news won't suddenly make games a social norm so long as there are people of all ages who simply don't have a desire to play them. In fact, I might go as far as to say that I think it's kind of too late for video games to be covered in mainstream media anyway, because the gap in knowledge about games between gamers and non-gamers has gotten too big. So even if a mainstream news publication hired a gaming expert to report on games, at least a little less than half the American population just wouldn't get it. And that's not even considering the countless people who play video games casually while not caring about video game coverage, such as my wife. Wait, hold up. Am I saying that everyone in the US has to be playing video games for it to be considered a normalized hobby? That's exactly what I'm saying. Seriously, can you think of anyone you know who doesn't watch things on a screen, whether that be movies, TV, or even YouTube or TikTok? Video is literally ingrained in...
You know, the more I think about it, I can understand why certain content creators play the most most entry-level friendly game like Repo, like whatever game is out right now, like Marvel Rivals, or anything that's like so not babyish, but more casual friendly game out there, to the point where people just watch it no matter what. Because majority of people just not into the niche games, bro. Like, who want to see more Elden Ring stuff, bro? Not many people, man. It was appealing when it came out, but not like it used to. Who want to see some Karajan, that new shows like it? Who want to see that? Nobody. Like, not like that, you know. People have no problem to see some Marvel Rivals, bro, but like a lot of people not. They probably be invested because they know Marvel characters like that. You know, people read the comic books, the movies. That kind of casual friendly.
In our society, video games, not so much. This applies to music even more so. Music is something that's not only ingrained in American society, but in the human race itself. It is quite literally universal. So how do we get everyone to play video games? Well, we kinda can't. Sure, we can show people the value of games all we want, and we can even let them try out a game or two they might like, but the reality is, there will always be people who don't want to play games for whatever reason. And frankly, some people, especially those who have an addictive personality, might benefit from never playing video games. And that's okay. I don't know about you, but I want games to stay out of the mainstream news and out of the hands of those corporate fools who just want to exploit our nostalgia to make a quick buck. I mean, they're already doing that without it being a social norm. I think I agree with Lindbergh in that maybe there's a benefit to gaming being overlooked. Look, I've come to terms with the idea of gaming being something that not everybody understands the appeal of. I want to help spread that awareness, sure, but I'm okay with where games are at least in terms of social status. I think it would be better to let the actual gamers on YouTube...
The problem is, where is the social status? How do you define that? In what degree? Because celebrities will pull up for streamers who don't even play in games like that, to just talk about BS. It doesn't even have to be meaningful sometimes, or most of the time. It could be something silly, something bland, like people don't even like giving them the controller to play some games. They ain't gonna know what's what. That's true. That's very, very true. And you can't do nothing about it. Sucks, I know. You can't do nothing about it.
YouTube like Scott the Woz, Spawnwave, or even Daryl Talks Games continue to handle the game coverage because here's the thing. Gamers are already socially accepted. Among other gamers. Who cares if the rest of the world understands games? Look, maybe I'm wrong and one day we wake up and everyone is playing games, but other than our insecurities, what would that really change? Would it positively...
Absolutely nothing.
Affect anything in the video game industry other than profits, or would it lead to more corporate greed? Only time will tell. So, what do we make of all this? I just spent the last 14 or so minutes telling you how big of an issue all of this is, yet the conclusion I came to is that it's no big deal, because in reality, it's not. Does that change the way I or even you might feel about it? Probably not, but I think the way we tend to approach situations like this is usually bass-ackwards. You see, what started out as a simple question blossomed into something that caused me to do a little self-searching. And while I quite frankly obsessed over it a little too much, I think I came to a conclusion that gave me some closure on the matter. Instead of focusing on how we can get others to like playing or even respecting video games, I think we should instead take a good look in the mirror and ask ourselves how we would feel if we were on the other side of this. At the end of the day, what we do is our choice. So let's be more understanding of the fact that video games are simply not for everyone, no matter how many games they may try.
I 100% agree about this. And understand this, right? Let's say they want to change their mind and say, you know what? Hey, Chris, that game you've been playing, Street Fighter 6, I wasn't a big Street Fighter fan, but this game right here, when you see the Slip League slimy goo stuff going across the freaking screen, and they doing some combos, bro, that looks so cool, man. Can you teach me how to do those stuff? No problem, bro. I'll help you out. That can happen. That can definitely happen. People can change their mind. People would be invested on it, and I would actually recommend Street Fighter 6, even though it's like a die-hard good, like, it depends on like what your stigma, or like what you consider a good Street Fighter, or a good Tekken, or a good Guilty Gear. That depends on what y'all think, like what you think of a good like anything within the franchise is. Cause majority nowadays is like, if you want to like bring people to a Guilty Gear, Strive, and haven't played, they can play with it, bro. Because among all the games, that is like the most low hanging fruit Guilty Gear ever been, bar none. Street Fighter 6, same thing for KOF 15, maybe even Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. You know what I'm saying? Games are getting easier, sometimes here and there, but it's a matter of like how do you want to bring more people to in the scene like that, bro. Whether they play for a little bit or not, it all depends on them, bro. All depends on the individual. So I'll never force anyone to do anything unless he ain't gonna be committed to it 100%.
Let's stop gatekeeping and instead embrace the fact that different sections of the gaming community are more alike than not, instead of dividing ourselves over stupid console wars. Because the only people we're hurting by doing those things are ourselves. It just shows.
Yeah, console wars are stupid. I learned that like 5 years ago, bro. It makes no sense. 5 years ago was very specific because that's like the time when I want to get a PS5. Nowadays, I want the best PC of all time to run like all the games, maybe all genres. But I like the genre like action adventure, some thriller here and there, survival horror, puzzle, anything fun, anything that made me do stuff, that made me feel good about it. Not just running around with the monster. Like I hate that. I really hate that kind of game, bro. That's not me. That's not something that's fun as fun. That's personally me. Okay? So, if you want to know what kind of games I like, I already said it. Me doing something that is meaningful. Either I'm attacking or defending, or both, or I'm looking for stuff. Something excites me. There's nothing exciting about me running around a freaking chasm or running around from a freaking monster. How that exciting, bro? How? What the thrill of people playing scary games that you don't even fight back until the very end of the freaking game itself? There's nothing thrilling about that. There's nothing good about that, bro. It's just weird, bro. That's why I like Resident Evil so much, because you get the chance to fight the monster every single time. Every freaking time, bro. But when you don't fight the monster, get that game in my face.
Those outside the gaming community that the only thing they're missing out on are fanboys and fangirls fighting amongst each other over corporations who only care about our money in the first place. But I think the most important thing we can do is impact the next generation by showing them the value not only in the game, but in the gamer too. Then, who knows? In time, maybe gamers can be cool.
It's been a year since the video came out, bro. I think gamers were always cool. It depends on like what the person is. Like whatever cool game is to you is a cool gamer. Do you guys consider a Moist Critical a cool gamer? Yeah, I consider Maximilian Dud to be a cool gamer. Yes, I do. Even though I don't watch his stuff like I used to back in the day, like 10 years ago. But like recently, over the years, I'm like, yeah, I've gotten bored of his stuff. I still think to this day he's a cool gamer. And I think you're a cool gamer too, Derez. Parallax, you earn my subscription. Out of all the people I even sub to, you earn my subscription more so than anybody else. You deserve all the respect in the world. You are my G. You're my G. You're my dog. Never forget that, bro. So, if y'all new to the channel, if you agree with certain points I have, or what the Red Zone Parallax has. Like the video. Go check his stuff out. Give him some love. Comment section down below like the stuff I said or what he said. Or the topic of like, you know, popularity of gaming. And subscribe for more reactions, bro. I'll be out. I'll be safe. Be easy. And be chilled. Man, gaming is gaming, dude. It's never going anywhere. Period. And Nintendo, ooh, I got some stuff to say about you, man. Nintendo, ooh, when I get you Nintendo,